I'm in Balmayo, that is in the central region of Cameroon, same time right here in Douala. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for joining me on this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe television. First, our major stories. Fear and uncertainty continues to reign in the complete northwest and southwest regions of Cameroon despite the lifting of the one-week lockdown imposed by separatist fighters. Several streets remain deserted today with just a handful of persons spotted in major junctions. Tonight, our newsroom will be taking us to that part of Boya to show us the situation at hand as far as the lockdown is concerned. And away from that, we'll tell you how streets in the city of Douala have become so dirty as garbage have flooded several streets and junctions. We'll be taking you precisely to the Madam Phoning Junction in Douala 5 subdivision. Here, the population say they need help from the government after a report done by Equinoxe TV denouncing the heaps of garbage found along the late Madam Francois Phoning Junction. Hygiene and sanitation experts were on the site today to give it a new facelift. Those are major stories. Stay with us for details and more. Thank you so much for choosing Equinoxe Television. You made the right choice. For presentation, I am Immaculate Fogwe. Activities in some neighboring towns in Boya, the southwest region, still remain grounded, even though the lockdown imposed by separatist fighters has been lifted. 2 of the 3 government colleges that were visited have still not resumed as they were void of teachers and students. Magic and Gabriel tells us more.
It was a quiet Moya neighborhood that we met on this second week of the academic year 2024-2025. Heading to Government High School Moya, the entire street was ghosted with limited movement. Not too far from Government High School Moya is Government High School Bomaka. Unfortunately, no student was spotted on campus. Not even the administrative office was opened as the entire campus was void of any living thing. If leaving Moya back towards mile 17, the road was partially ghosted with few cars circulating. It wasn't the case at checkpoint Moliko, where taxis and private cars were circulating freely. As Equinoxe TV's team stopped at Bilingual Grammar School Moliko, we spotted few students on campus, though not as usual on a normal day. The principal sends this message to the parents.
We are calling on parents who are still leaving their children back home. That it's time for us to come back so we can cover the workload that we have for the academic year. You know, the workload is divided by week. And by the time you miss 1 week, 2 weeks, you have missed much because it will be difficult to cover up. It's true, we are up to the task. We'll do everything we can to cover the first week. But we pray that children come to school the second week, or more come to school the second week so we can cover our workload.
Though students are timidly coming to school, the curriculum has seen a new subject introduced.
A new subject called Art Cinematography, which is open to students with O-level and BAPC. Our cats will be offering it and lower seat.
For now, if Boya Central seems to be active, neighborhoods around it are still dormant, with everyone quiet at its own end.
Smart Jikan Gabriel reporting there. Inhabitants of the far north region of Cameroon continue battling with floods sweeping across 4 divisions. In the Mayudanai division, young people are struggling on their own to mitigate the impact of the natural disaster while waiting for concrete government action on the ground. Babila Jonathan reports.
A battle for survival in the Mayudanai division, far north region of Cameroon. Young people using crude tools, local materials, and rudimentary methods to prevent water flowing from the Logan and Shari River from overflowing their homes and farmlands after the dike constructed across the water body collapsed.
Le projet Pulsu a failli à ses missions, monsieur.
Residents are expressing anger over the flood control project, which cost billions of francs CFA, but whose results, they say, are almost non-existent.
Il a fait un travail très nul.
Far North Governor Mijiawa Bakari is on the scene.
This contact is to see really what happened, to inform our high ranking in order to take important measures that will be implemented on the field.
Meteorological statistics reveal a greater danger looming over inhabitants of the Mayo-Denai division, with more devastating consequences if appropriate measures are not taken.
This year, the meteor services said that the climate change is there. The rain will increase. It will stand till November. If it is the case, the situation will be very, very, very critical.
Meantime, while young people promised the governor to do everything possible to contain the water, it is obvious that greater means, including skilled construction engineers and bulldozers, are needed.
We'll leave the Fana region straight away right here in the city of Douala, where residents are expressing concerns over the heaps of garbage found in almost all the junctions. According to them, the pungent smell emanating from the waste continues to threaten public health. After reports done by Equinoxe TV team denouncing the heaps of garbage found along the late Francois Forning Junction, hygiene and sanitation experts were on the site today. However, residents are questioning for how long the cleaning exercise will continue in this part of the country. Let's take a listen to them in this report compiled by Siri Chakutio.
After weeks of complaints from the inhabitants of Bepanda about the filthy state of roads, especially in front of the residence of late Mama Forning, this is the new face of Bepanda, Mama Forning Junction, following a report by Equinoxe TV. Speaking to some residents, they applaud the move but raise concerns about the poor state of roads in the Douala 5 subdivision. I sincerely say thank you to Equinoxe who did the report on this road. As you can see, we are now free. But we still have a problem, which is the bad condition of our roads. Now they have to arrange our roads so that we can move freely. According to an inhabitant who has greatly contributed in developing the area, there is still much work to be done.
C'est un point nommé, n'est-ce pas, que l'Equinoxe passe par là aussi, mais c'est autant grave que nous avons déjà fait plusieurs lettres.
The residents are requesting that a designated area should be made available where waste disposals could be thrown, a request they have made to local authorities.
Transférer ce dépôt ailleurs.
We several times wrote to the mayor so that he could carry away this dirt, and why not open another area where garbages could be deposited.
Les gens quittent de petits vouris, ils font plus de 500 mètres avant de venir déporter là. D'autres quittent au marché de Global.
Our mother, from where she is, won't be happy seeing her house neglected by the local authorities. Again,
intermédiaire entre le point de départ.
This comes just days before the celebration of the 10th anniversary of the former mayor of Douala 5, Francois Forning.
Seri Chakutio reporting there. Now we talk something else. Activities run with electric energy are on standstill in most parts of the West region. This is due to an incident in a power plant supplying most divisions. Despite assurance from the governor of that region that the situation will be solved, the worried population question for how long they will have to wait, as Innocent Aze tells us.
It is over 4 days now that most parts of the West region are deprived of electric energy, leaving the population frustrated, particularly those who depend on it to run their business activities. This welder in Banengu, Bavusam, says for about 4 days now they are unable to work. Clients come to them with complaints. Only few understand the situation. Anger consumes households in areas deprived of this basic social amenity. Foodstuffs stocked in the refrigerator are bad. We can't even charge our phones to communicate.
On a volonté de livrer, de satisfaire nos clients, mais à cause de la lumière, on ne peut pas.
This blackout is experienced in almost all divisions in the West region, including Vimenua, Upper Plateau, Nde, and Konki, where activities are on a standstill for close to a week. Very few use generators. In a release, a New Cameroon justifies the power outage to an incident in the power plant supplying electric energy to most divisions. In a communique signed by the West Governor Awafonka Augustine, a Sonatrol team is currently working to re-establish power supply. Deadline of this work has not been announced, leaving the population worried how long they will still have to wait for things to get back in place.
And now to news out of the country. Gunshots and explosions were heard in the early hours of today in Mali's capital, Bamako, as suspected terrorists launched an attack. Their target, according to Mali's government, was a gendarmerie training school in the city. While in Nigeria, at least 281 inmates have escaped after devastating floods brought down a prison's wall in the country's northeast Maiduguri. Sources say the flooding began when a dam overflowed following heavy rains. A runner of these stories and more with Acelu Siliengo.
In Mali, a group of terrorists mounted an attack on a military base in Bamako, Mali's capital, in the early hours of Tuesday, 17th of September 2024. According to Mali's army, the armed men attempted to infiltrate a gendarmerie school near the international airport. This caused tension and fear in the early hours, and those going to the mosque for morning prayers returned as gunshots were fired. The Malian military government has reported that it thwarted a terrorist attack, adding the situation is under control. Away from Mali, in neighboring Nigeria, more than 270 inmates are missing. They escaped from custody when severe flooding damaged a prison wall in the northern eastern city of Maiduguri. Sources say the flooding was caused by the collapse of a dam following heavy rainfall. Since the beginning of the wet season, several people in Maiduguri have been forced from their homes and at least 30 persons have died. Last week, Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu visited the affected areas and encouraged the population that measures are underway. While in Kenya, President William Ruto's visit to Germany continued to raise concerns. This is following a partnership of agreement on migration and mobility signed between September 14 and 15 by William Ruto and German Chancellor. According to the agreement, specialized workers and young people will be able to go to Germany for training. This will solve the problem of labor shortage in Germany. However, to Kenya's president, the agreement was to secure 250,000 jobs for young Kenyan graduates in Germany, but authorities in Berlin quickly denied the figure, saying the text does not provide any specific number.
Still on our foreign page, a few weeks after prohibiting senior state officials from spending holidays out of the country, Gabonese President General Brice Oligui Nguema sacks the head of the country's water and energy company over poor results. In a strong voice, the president accused them of extortion, corruption, embezzlement, and poor management, ordering an audit. A practical approach to poor governance that has become his modus operandi since he came to power. We have details with from Armstrong Sanda.
The anger of the Gabonese president followed weeks of energy and water disruptions that hit the political capital, Libreville, and other parts of the country. The capital got plunged into a vexing blackout following a rotatory system of load shedding. That is, electricity is cut off in an entire district for several hours to allow power supply in other parts of the city.
Si on ne le connaît pas, il faut démissionner. Un homme militaire disait, c'est honteux de faire un métier que l'on ne connaît pas.
Resign if you cannot deliver. It is shameful to be in a domain when you know nothing there. We made available 10 generators of 2.5 megawatts each, and for 2 months you have been unable to connect and get them working.
What else do you want? You all are incompetent.
2 mois, on n'arrive pas à brancher 10 groupes.
As an immediate measure and in STEM terms, the president reshuffled the management of the Gabonese energy and water company SEC with an interim head.
Pour l'administrateur provisoire, c'est 5 millions et des avantages plafonnés.
The new interim administrator will have a salary of 5 million francs with all advantages included. The rest must be below that. I do not want to hear of 10 million, 15 million or 20 million salaries again. It is over.
Même 5 étoiles, personne n'a un salaire de 5 millions. On atteint 3 millions quand on a 5 étoiles.
Beyond the supply disruptions, the president was also angered by the discovery of the embezzlement of revenues within the company.
Comment vous expliquez qu'un compteur frauduleux?
Faced with the scandals at the SEEG and the recurrent power cuts, I have ordered a rigorous audit. All those guilty of harmful acts will be brought to justice.
C'est vous qui êtes à l'origine.
General Brice Kote Oligingema has remained practically remarkable in resolving governance issues since his arrival at the helm of Gabon on September the 4th, 2023.
For me, I'm Strong Sanda, ending this first part of the news. Talking Point is up next. Tonight on Talking Point, I will be receiving a human rights defender. He's known as Barrister Edward Lyonga Ewule, and we'll be focusing on the illegal detention of at least 70 youths of Bonakanda village, that is in the southwest region. Good evening, Barrister. It is a pleasure to have you on Talking Point tonight.
Good evening. Good evening. It's a pleasure for me to be here at Equinoxe, one of the top television stations in the country. So it's a pleasure for me to be on set.
Barrister, you just came in from Boya, which is a chieftain of the southwest region. Have activities resumed in that part of the country?
Yes, I think this week things are a little bit different. Last week it was really, the town was really dead, but today you could see some stores were open, you could see taxis plying the road. So we think that things have started taking shape. But looking at what happened during the weekend, Saturday and Sunday, you could see that the town was really booming. But from yesterday, Monday, and today, as you compare to last week, I think things are getting back to normal. Even though the schools, I passed through Lycée Moliko this morning before going to the office and up, you could see that Lycée Moliko is just very few students are there. But we are using this opportunity to tell parents that please, you have to fight against this fear and send your kids to school, because education is very important and education cannot wait. So I think that things are getting back to shape, and I think that the population of the southwest region have said that they must stand against this issue of them being refused to carry out their activities.
We saw on the news yesterday that at least 70 youths of Bonakanda village in Bonavanda area of Boya, Fako division of the southwest region, were bundled from the village last week and are currently in detention in Boya. Please, can you come back to this and by telling us why these youths were arrested in your capacity as a defendant and human rights lawyer?
Yes, I can confirm, because I've gone there myself and I've seen some authorities as concerned this, and I've even come up with a statement which is online. People could see the statement, and some of your colleagues were in my chambers who had to get my own part of the story, and you could see how women in Bonakanda came out on Sunday over the weekend to denounce the arrest of their children. So I can confirm to you right up to this moment, before I reach here, I was in front of Lejeune with the parents of these children, And I think that it was just about 2 p.m. that they were allowed in to give food to these children who were detained. I can confirm that there's even a 13-year-old boy there, they call him Diveliunga, who was also picked up. I think he's still in primary school. So it's a very disturbing situation, and we are really calling for these young guys to be released. Those who have nothing to do as far as the crisis is concerned, let them be set free. It's over a week now since they were picked up in their homes, and we have been doing everything possible to see that they could get their freedom, but unfortunately they say investigations are still going on.
You just made mention of a 13-year-old child being part of those who are arrested. Given that we are all blank on why they were all arrested, I want to know, is it possible for a 13-year-old child to be prosecuted?
Yeah, it's a little bit complicated for this due to the war. Sometimes they use children as children, child soldiers, and the rest. So it's a little bit complicated. But under our law, a 13-year-old child cannot be prosecuted, cannot be locked up. But what we are seeing now is that due to, they are saying, because of the crisis, because of the situation, sometimes they use these children to carry out certain atrocities like explosive. They can give it to a child who may not even know the effect of explosives. So it's because of the crisis, it's a little bit complex, but it's under our law. You cannot prosecute, you cannot lock up a 13-year-old child.
Yesterday we saw some women on the streets denouncing the arrest of the 70 youths. Raids have become very common in the southwest region and equally in the northwest region. Given the security context of the region, are these frequent raids not necessary?
No, I want to explain. I just want to state that I have challenged my colleagues and I've challenged other people that they should tell me one state in the world wherein raids are common. It is only in our country. And I've told them to tell me one country wherein raids are common. It is a violation of all international treaties. I've told them to show me one law that gives military officials, that gives police officers right to arrest, to go to people's houses in the night, arrest them and lock them up. I haven't seen any of the law like that. It is a violation of the Constitution of Cameroon. It's a violation of the African Charter of Human and People's Rights. And it's a violation of all other international conventions that Cameroon has signed and ratified. Secondly, you asked a question about the women who went out to have a peaceful protest. I can tell you that the Criminal Procedure Code, look at section 30, it talks about the manner in which arrest can be carried out. Before you arrest somebody, you must tell the person why he's been arrested. Most of these children were arrested, no reason was given for their arrest. And up till today, most of the parents don't know why their kids have been picked up. So it's so disturbing, and you should also understand that because of the crisis, raids have become a very common phenomenon, and the forces of law and order say that this raids is because they are fighting against the armed separatists and they are fighting against banditry and insecurity. But I will state here that the state of Cameroon, through our President Paul Boya, has put in place resources through the taxpayers' money. And these resources have been put in place in such a way that the forces of law and order can do their work perfectly. And I think that most of these communities are collaborating with the forces. So there is no need for you going to arrest everybody in the village. Okay, let us just take it that you go ahead to arrest everybody in the village. Now, why don't you carry on the investigation within a short time? For instance, they were arrested on Sunday because of the fact that some people may be there who are innocent. Why don't you use Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday and finish the investigation and present them either to the Commissioner for Government or the Procureur General? And those who have nothing to do, who have not committed any crime, they are set free within the ambit of 48 hours. Why do you keep them for 1 week? Why do you keep them for 1 week? If you watch what the mothers they will say, there are some of them who are sick. There are some, one of them, they are alleging that one of the people arrested was a mad person. So all of these things are things that we are thinking that we are in a civilized country. We are in a country that respects human rights. We are in a country that respects the rule of law. We are not in a banana republic, and the state should know that what guides us in this country is the constitution and the laws under the constitution. And we cannot be in a country where citizens are scared to sleep in their houses, young people are scared to sleep in their houses.
As a barrister, are parents supposed to pay bail for the release of their kids who are picked up in mass arrest, especially when the victims have been investigated and found not guilty?
There is no part in the law that talks of bail. The issue of bail is an illegality. And that is why I have always called on the authorities that they should note that the issue of bail has become rampant, and sometimes we see it as if it's normal. It is not normal. You go to the state council chambers, nobody will ask you bail there. The state council will either charge you to court or release you on bail or send you to waiting trial. The state council will never take any bail from you. You go to all the state councils in Southwest that are visited, no state council have ever asked bail from anybody. But you go to the various police stations and gendarmes and the rest, you see this practice which is rampant. And that is why we are denouncing. If you go in front of the state council chambers in Boya, it is boldly written, bail is free. And the Procureur General of the Southwest region has stated clearly that people should not pay bail. If anybody asks you bail, go to the state council and report. Go to the Procureur General's chambers and report. Go and report to the authority, because nobody have to take bail from anybody. Bail, the issue of bail is extortion. Even in court, they will not ask you to pay bail. The court can ask you to do what known as recognizance, to deposit money that you can come and collect later when the case is over. But this issue of bail, where no receipts is given to anybody, no document, just give money and they ask you to go, is a total violation. And we're using this platform to say that it is a practice that must come to an end. And no parent should give money for bail anywhere, because it is not part of our law.
Barrister Edward Lyonga, thank you so much for accepting my invitation.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
This edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your keen attention. Stay in the company of more interesting programs. Coming up next is Equinoxe with Serge Alangotu. Bye-bye for now. See you tomorrow, same time, God willing.